Chapter 3 Jonathan. Morals should stand above all else. When one considers a decision, they should always weigh the morals of their actions. I felt nothing from him, not even a drop of emotion. Day sat next to me at the West Wing dining table, staring blankly from his wheelchair. A bowl of porridge sat before us. Some days there might be a spark or even an underlying hint of something, but lately there'd been nothing. A solution presented itself, yet I denied it. Councilman Kaladesh visited my dreams, offering a serum in exchange for the life of some woman from the old church. Had I accepted the mission, perhaps Day would finally be able to return to this world before it became too late. But then, a darker part of me wondered, had I only refused the mission because I enjoyed having an empty vessel nearby? Was I just using Day as one would a doll? I could speak to him and clear up my thoughts without being interrupted or emotionally twisted. It started initially as a way to keep my mind present in this world. I would speak to him, and every now and then feel his emotions ripple within. Sometimes he would return for a few days before losing brain activity. But now, he seemed completely gone. Only the serum would save him, and I've done nothing. A knock came at the door. Apprehension seethed through my skin, not my own. "Come in," I said. A man dressed in an all-black coat looked upon me with a dark expression on his brown skin. Abdu was his name. He was one of the finest men I've ever known. "You have a visitor," he said. My skin was crawling and hair standing on end. Apprehension gave way to fear, an emotion not too common for Abdu. "Who is this person?" I asked carefully. Abdu knew me long enough. Where normal people might try to hint or warn with an inflection in tone, Abdu knew I needed no such conveyance. "A servant of Haitur," he spoke in a very quiet tone. I gulped. My fear reverberated with Abdu's. My words were slipping from me, and my mind was imagining every possible outcome a conversation with such a man might yield. The Hunters' organization of mercenaries I established never bothered the council in the past. But maybe the council always assumed I was still in their back pocket. Refusing their mission may have decided the Reapers no longer needed to exist if we could not be controlled. "Send him in," I said, without a hint of confidence. Was there a way to avoid this fate? I could run out the window like a teenage boy in the pictures trying to escape from his girlfriend's parents. Or maybe a more direct approach would be better. My Colt Magnum was resting firmly on my lap for these sorts of times. Calm. A tall, light-skinned man entered the kitchen, wearing a black capelet and a golden half-mask. "Greetings from the council," he said. The man took comfortable strides as though in his own home to sit across the table. The light from the evening sun cast through the window at his back, turning him into a formless penumbra. "Should I be concerned?" I asked. I felt no burning desire or lust for blood, usually a good sign, but my hand still coiled tightly around my gun. "You should be ecstatic, as a matter of fact. The council rarely makes house calls, even to such a lovely mansion as this." I considered invading my dreams a more personal space than my home, but quibbling with people about minor details usually only made enemies. "I'm assuming this has something to do with an opportunity I've previously denied," I said. The man made a slight nod before reaching into his coat. I twisted my revolver towards the man's gut. It wouldn't kill him, though it would hurt. But to my surprise, the man pulled out the eye of an animal, a beak, and a grater. "No magic can be conducted inside this house," I said. "Is that so?" the man asked. "Well, when I saw the wards, I was of the belief they only protected the home from outside assault. A sort of way to protect your little mercenary group from invaders that might have access to magic." "That was the idea," I said in a far too calm manner. I felt no threat from the man, even though everything in me told me to see him as a threat. But those overpowering emotions of calm forced my hand to loosen its grip. Only the logic of my situation kept me from letting go of the gun altogether. It only made sense to feel apprehension towards the man, and even if I felt none, the wards against magic were specifically meant to keep me safe in case the council ever decided to send their mages after us. The hunters stopped the monsters. The wards stopped the mages. The man placed a small handkerchief on the table and delicately plopped the bird's eye at its center. With a small grater, he shaved off a significant portion of the beak onto the eyeball. Eagle beak over an eagle's eye. The man spoke with a bit of delight in his tone. Small feelings of joy tickled at my consciousness. Magic can be such a simple thing, but it always yields interesting results. I found myself nodding in agreement to the man's assertions. I am a vessel. The man spoke softly before downing the eye in one gulp. All the waves of emotion stilled to nothingness. The man's body fell back against the chair, limp. Impatience, curiosity, joy. A pressure filled the room like gravity, hardening all around. I never expected such an outcome, but he was here. Through his vessel, Councilman Claudius stopped for a visit. It has been far too long, Jonathan, the man said in a foreign voice about 1 octave lower. I see you're living quite comfortably. Get to your point, I snapped. Had I known you wanted to make small talk, perhaps I would have set down some tea and crumpets the way you like it in Antalacia. Are my emotions getting the better of you? He laughed, and I joined him. Do your people even realize they follow someone so unstable such as yourself? They realize I'm not normal, I said. Logic gets me through most situations, though. In truth, logic presents many different arguments, always colored by the emotion. I try my best reasoning to pick the correct path, but I'm not perfect. I'll get right to the business, he said, calm. The council seeks your aid. I believe I've already made myself perfectly clear. I'm not a hired gunman. Claudius cocked his head to the side. And yet you run an entire organization made of mercenaries. How odd is that? I should be annoyed. I gave a patient smile. This organization only exists to protect places threatened by beasts. We make no profit off of those we protect, and we take no jobs involving any other sort of work. He smiled. This is also an orphanage of sorts, yes? He asked. Of sorts, I answered. There are far too many lost children in this world of ours, and no one to help them. The least I can do is take them in. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Cameron would be proud. No matter how powerful Claudius's emotions reverberated, the deep well of sadness within my heart still found a way to move me upon hearing that name. He used to be a good man, I said. He created something special at one time. I only wish to carry on that legacy. Hatred, palpable and intense. That man grasped the sun, Claudius sneered. And just as soon as the emotions flared, it faded back to a soothing calm. Enough about old times, though, he said. This current mission is something new, and should you succeed, not only will the serum be yours, but the Reapers as a group shall be allowed to return home, reinstated. All will be forgiven. I felt no sign of betrayal in the man's tone or emotions. Somehow, with only a few words, he suggested impossibility. She and I could be together again? But I've already built a new life from the shambles of my old one. I can't go back now. Think carefully about what it means to be reinstated. Everything you're doing here also comes with you. The money and resources at our disposal are limitless and could be yours for the taking. You could save so many lives with your hunters if you return to us. It was just as easy for the council to save those lives without even breaking a sweat. What could be so drastic that you would offer so much? I asked. I'm glad you finally asked. Claudius leaned over the table, brushing aside flakes left over from the beak. About 3 hours ago, the target we asked you to assassinate survived. But what makes it interesting is not the fact that she survived, but how she survived. Someone else came to her rescue. And you want me to kill this other person, I assumed? Very much so. I sat there considering. For the reward, it sounded easy. Later on, I knew I was going to hate myself for even giving the council such a long moment of my time. Once I knew the topic, I should have told him to leave. But I sat there, considering. Kill 2 targets. Get reinstated, I said. Well, who is this other person? You might know of her, actually. Joy. Sick and twisted. She was an old friend of yours back in the day. I knew whom he meant to say. The only reason he would feel such sick pleasure in dragging out her name was because it was her. And as such, this was an ultimate test of loyalty for me. Just say it, I said through gritted teeth. The council has ordered the execution of Reese Noble and her new little friend, Cassandra Bruenbach. My heart dropped. Do this, and everything you once were will return to you, and more. But don't think of this assignment as a winner-take-all situation. Any Reaper that shows loyalty at this time shall be reinstated. In your case, Day's loyalty shall be based upon your own. Take that into consideration. He's been in the Dreamlands for quite some time now, and Councilman Kaladesh only has so much patience. I'll consider the offer, I said, knowing full well it was a lie. But the opportunity was exciting and terrifying. My thoughts were scattered to the furthest reaches of the universe. I needed to be alone, absolutely alone, to make any clear decision. Well, if you do make the correct choice, she was on a train heading for Ebbington. The name change is more recent, so you may know of it as Ukakwempi. I shook my head. I'm not familiar with cities outside of West Alkebu. Claudius dismissed the thought with a wave of his hand. No matter. You will find it if you need to. And if she is killed before then, expect a visit from Kaladesh in your dreams. Message received. Claudius smiled and stood. This vessel is occupied, he said. Suddenly the strong pressure vanished. Relaxed. The man with the yellow mask made a slight bow. Good day, Mr. Ford, he said, taking his leave. I waited a moment. I waited for the emotions of the room to dull into the background, like the waves of the ocean at low tide. Emotions of the house were nearby, but not powerful enough to break my serenity and clarity. I focused my attention on Day's emotional state and found my void of thought where I could, for brief moments, be myself again. Love blossomed stronger than the freshness of spring. My heart was afire, so easily set ablaze by the light of hope. Not a day went by when my thoughts had not gone to her. Now I had a location, and so did the others. I would never consider harming Cassandra in any way, but Isla definitely might. For that matter, the twins, Lucy, and even Nicholas were all equally likely. It might even be easier to consider who wouldn't harm her, being Day and myself. Some family. Shock. My eyes snapped open. That emotion did not belong to me. Day, can you hear me? I asked. The shock gave way to sadness and unintentional confirmation. A plan began forming in my head. I need you to take a message to Cassandra. Tell her I can keep her and the church girls safe at my mansion in Thessa, and warn her that the council has ordered her execution. The feelings were gone by the time I finished. Once more, Day returned to being an empty vessel. I took a chance and just hoped it would pay off. In the other room, I felt emotions getting closer, stronger. Thank goodness I learned this valuable information, even if it was only because of such a frightening visitor. Come in, Abdu, I said. The door opened, and my friend walked in stiffer than a board. Everything went well, I presume? He asked. Nothing to threaten us, if that's what you're asking, I said. We still felt on edge, though. He offered me a job. Tell me, do you know where the city of Ebbington lies? You might know it by its other name, Ukakwempi? I can't say that I do, he said. Are you really going to consider a job from the council? Heavens no, I replied, perhaps a bit too forcefully. But we may have a visitor from that area, and I would like to know how much time I have until they arrive. I was jeopardizing the lives of so many, but I needed to do this. If we host this visitor, then we will need to prepare for an all-out war against the council. Jonathan, what are you planning? He was worried. I was worried, with or without his emotional cues. Something stupid, for sure, I said. In 3 days' time, we need to be prepared to evacuate the children to a safer area. And then, if you and the other hunters will stand by my side, we need a lot of firepower. Abdi placed a firm hand on my shoulder. We will make this place an impenetrable bastion. Not even the council will breach our doors. Thank you, my friend.